speaking of the NFC North, my Detroit Lions lost to the Green Bay Packers predictably, but they actually look fairly competitive, and they've looked competitive, and they've just looked a little different under Darrell Bevell since the firing of Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn. So I mean, that was. I don't want them to win games right now. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but it was nice to see them at least put up a decent effort and look a little bit competitive against a far superior squad and the Packers. But the big news with the Lions is the general manager search is ongoing and progressing. The Lions announced yesterday, I believe, that one of my top 3 candidates that I was hoping for to become GM would not be the GM, but become a special assistant to Sheila Ford Hamp, the owner, and Rod Wood, the CEO, president, whatever the fuck his title is. He's going to be he's hired full-time special assistant, and he will be assisting in the hiring of the new GM, which it's probably good. It's definitely a good move to get Spielman in the organization. Basically he was one of the centerpieces of the best Lions team in my lifetime, the only one that was fairly competitive and the only one that's actually won a playoff game in 57 years. So he was kind of the heart and soul of the late 80s, early 90s Lions. So he's always been associated with us. So it makes sense that he is a full-time employee and definitely part of hopefully a new regime. So I like that. The other part that I like about it is when you and I were discussing my top 3 candidates, I think I put him as my third choice, because it feels like if he became the GM, it would feel kind of a lot like Matt Millen. I don't like to say his name out loud, but a former player, former linebacker, going into the broadcast booth, and then just all of a sudden he's the GM of a team, and we saw what a disaster that was. So it's almost like the Lions averted that by just bringing him on as a special assistant to advise the current ownership group, who admittedly has no idea what they're doing. So to get advisors in there is people who may know a little bit more about what they're doing, I think is a smart move. I like it. The next piece of news on that is they are officially interviewing I think he was my number 2 candidate that I would like to have, and that's Louis Riddick. They're going to interview him on Friday, and he is actually their very first external candidate that they're interviewing. So I think that's a really positive sign. They've interviewed some, probably assistant GMs or executives within the Lions organization right now that weren't let go with the previous regime. Maybe just a token interviews before the real ones start. But I thought that was cool. That they're definitely, their first one is going to be Louis Riddick, who I think could be an interesting choice.
Any news about maybe Fonts coming into GM?
I'm not sure how Fonts is doing these days. He might be close to 90 at this point.
I was actually going to even ask if he was alive.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. He's probably, I think he's pushing 80 at least. But
after I said that out loud, I'm like, oh, geez, I hope I didn't make a dead guy joke.
I think he's alive. I'm not sure, but well, I'll look that up for the show, and we'll keep tabs on Wayne.
Update me.
But it sounds like the search is getting aggressive, as they're gonna not only look to interview Louis Riddick on Friday, but they're gonna have 4 to 5 more interviews before Christmas. So before next week.
Yeah.
So
they're really putting a pedal to the metal there.
They've got competition because the Texans have already fired their general manager, so they're interviewing people. And
true, yeah.
Jacksonville, I think either they have fired him or it's obvious they're going to be firing. I'm not sure what that situation is, but there is competition for new GMs across the league. So the fact that the Lions are hiring qualified people to be their advisors, and they're aggressively interviewing and starting to interview people that I would endorse, I think that's a really positive sign, which I'm not used to seeing management make decisions that I'm in favor of. So there's 2 right there. So maybe those are positive signs, but
It's looking like cupcakes and rainbows for you, Smitty.
I wouldn't go that far, and it'll be a long time before I eat a lion cupcake or see a lion rainbow. So we'll see. At least it's a little bit of positivity in a bleak situation. So